everybody. Good night from Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. It's Cam K here for the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour on GeForce TV. It was one heck of a weekend for the NASCAR Pinty Series. We had lots of represented drivers all over the place. We were worldwide. Drivers out in Nashville, Tennessee for the NASCAR Awards, in Germany for the Sim Racing Expo, and in Florida for the yearly Snowflake 100 and Snowball Derby. Now, obviously, things maybe didn't go as well as we were hoping in those races. We had some drivers that weren't able to make it out to the race, unfortunately, but still, we had a good representation. 3 NASCAR Pinty Series drivers made their way to participate in the Snowflake 100. 2 made the race. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about GeForce Racing's amazing commitment to those drivers, especially Glenn Stiers, who put on one heck of a weekend despite not making the show. Glenn had... man, it's been a tough year for Glenn Stiers with mechanical issues, and unfortunately that didn't stop when they made the trip out to Five Flags Speedway for the Snowflake 100. Kyle Steckley was able to get out there and make the big show, along with Alex Gannett. Marc-Antoine Cameron was our representation for the champion at the NASCAR Awards, making the trip with Paye Racing. Really exciting stuff for them. Make their first opportunity as NASCAR champions, and we'll take a little look at that. Yeah, Al, we had some technical problems with the connection, and then so it had to be reset. So the previous episode is already gone. Wes, nice to see you in the chat, my friend. Lots to talk about. Which is awesome. We also have an interview with Kyle Steckley that'll be coming up. We'll be talking about his appearance at the Snowflake 100. But let's get into a couple things. First off, NASCAR Pinty Series schedule hasn't come out yet. And all signs still point that it is going to be out in the near future. I did talk with somebody earlier this week who is in the know and did confirm that the schedule will be coming out. They still hope before the new year. So we're still on the great timeline. Ryan Dyson, future NASCAR Pinty Series champion, is here on the in the chat as well. One of our good friends, one of our longtime supporters. Glad to see him out here. Make sure if you guys are on YouTube, subscribe. Actually, and Facebook. Subscribe to their page. Subscribe to the channel. They post video content all season long, all race long. Al says he was told the 9th, which would give him plenty of time still to get it out. Friday would be fun if we could get the schedule out on the 9th. That would be awesome. No confirmations yet, though, but would be fun to see if we can get the NASCAR Pinty Series schedule up. Obviously, the APC Series schedule has come out. I have a theory. I don't know if it's too crazy with that first race, but could we potentially be seeing a doubleheader for the NASCAR Pinty Series and the APC Series at Sunset Speedway for the season opener? Now, I know this was something that was touched upon maybe in 2020, that they were talking about doing doubleheaders for some of the events, and there isn't a ton of places that they can do it, considering the Pinty Series is normally, they're not in province all the time. Whereas the APC Series is only in Ontario. But I definitely think that there is a possibility there. And the reason I look at it is, all right, so what happens that week? So we've got if you're not familiar, the APC Series schedule came out. And the APC Series is pretty well known for putting on some great racing. And it matches perfectly with the Pinty Series. But what's the one thing that... we can maybe kind of put up there for debate, and that is the Saturday, they're putting on a 150 lapper and extended, so not a 100 lapper. This is a bigger, a longer race. Ticket values. Okay, first thing. So, what typically happens in May. Long weekend, May 2 forward weekend. First race is the 20th. So it's not the 2-4 per se, but I believe, I hope that that weekend is considered the Victoria Day weekend. And if that happens, maybe it's possible that we have APC Series race on the Saturday and then the Pinty Series on the Sunday at Sunset Speedway. That would be pretty cool. Whether or not that would happen, really don't know. They typically run the night race at sunset, so I mean it's a fun idea. But to have those, I mean the Pinty Series started, I believe, on the 23rd of May last year. So to have it around the same time this year, having the APC Series at the same track for its premiere, if I'm not mistaken though, I think APC did start around the same last year, but it was the week after. So Victoria Day is the 22nd. So there you go. Entirely possible. Make it a long weekend, and to me that's a golden weekend for Sunset Speedway. If I was Sunset, I'd be doing that in a heartbeat, getting the APC Series and then the Sunsets and then the NASCAR Pinty Series, 2 races that weekend. That would be huge. Make it a day race. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think last year I would be opposed to it considering it was a million degrees out on the Sunday, or on the Saturday. But that's combo events are what would be very helpful for Canadian and specifically Ontario racing, as I think there's not a lot of opportunities to do this. So I definitely think that that's an option. The other thing that's really interesting is actually what's happened is the APC Series is going to run 200 laps now on Delaware weekend. And we've already seen how much the Fall Brawl has grown into a big event. All of a sudden now, it's more enticing, I think, to a lot of NASCAR Pinty Series drivers. If the race is going to be 250 on the Sunday, why not run the APC Series race the night before? I think it's a solid idea. You get guys maybe like Trayton Lapsovich, Brandon Watson again, Kyle Steckley, you could get Ray Morneau again. I think it adds a lot more potential of drivers doing both events because it's a little bit more bang for your buck if you are a partner on a race car. So this could be a really, really, really positive thing. I like the way that schedule is already planned out. Hopefully there's not a lot of conflicts with Ontario Sportsman Series, with APC Series, and of course with the Pinty Series, because we like to focus on all three with our podcast. And as being a member of the team on OSS, I really hope that there's not conflicts, because that would seriously jeopardize where I'm going to be attending on the weekends. But I'm hearing rumblings, and rumblings are always a good thing. So I'm hoping that schedule, if the schedule is out by the end of the week, we have lots to talk about that next week. We're not going to be completely out of things to talk about right now, because there was a lot that happened over this past weekend. Our champion was making the rounds and making his first ever appearance at the NASCAR Awards. Now, I would love it if we could do a banquet here. Honestly, I think NASCAR Pinty Series should have their own banquet here. I understand it's a big prestige. It's a huge thing to do, to invite the international drivers. Well, okay, then that's great, but do something here as well, because every single one of those partners that are on those race teams deserves an opportunity for shout outs. Those drivers deserve recognition. Do awards, do a top 10, do the Paint Scheme Challenge. Hey, there you go. Do a presenting of the Paint Scheme Challenge winner, most popular driver, favorite race, I don't know, rookie of the year, all sorts of that type of stuff. Do it, at an event. Make it meaningful. And, it's a little hard to put all that together right now, obviously, because it's a brand new switch for the teams and everything with the brand new NASCAR team. But let's take a look at our champ, who was looking mighty nice with the other. I mean, what's different about these champions? A little bit of an age difference between Marc-Antoine Cameron and the rest of the international champions there. How he is looking with the trophy in Nashville. And of course, our outgoing series director, Sherry Putnam, made her appearance. And great to see a photo between her and the final champion for the NASCAR Pinty Series with her as the director. Of course, Mark made a small appearance. Unfortunately, they don't really do much when it comes to actually doing a presentation. They don't do speeches for these guys, unfortunately, which I would have rather seen. I would have loved to have seen some of the international champions get an opportunity for a shout out, but that's okay. It still was something that we can be happy about, to see our drivers out on a national stage. It's not always the easiest thing to compact everything into one event, but they were able to do it. So I want to thank the photos. Of course, Sherry Putnam took some of these photos, and Paye Racing as well. Very nice to see the appearances of our champion out at the racetrack. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for building a banquet. I mean, there's opportunity. I know it's not really central for a lot of people, but an awards banquet, a way to thank media, to thank the team. I mean, really, that the team here deserves a shout out. And then even doing, if you could get like G-Force to broadcast it like they did the Oshweekend banquet, I mean, that's something as well that could be very, very cool. And I think that there's definitely opportunities for that. We're going to take a quick look as well at the 3 paint schemes that made it to the finale of the Paint Scheme Challenge on the NASCAR Pinty Series community Facebook page. DJ Kennington's 17 Castrol Edge Dodge was one of those. And Ray Morneau Jr.'s John Arts Group 03. Very nice looking scheme. Black and orange. Very beautiful. Love watching that car out on the racetrack. Hope to get to see it a little bit more. And then, of course, the 28 Provincial Vodka Dodge for Matt Shirley as well. One of the things that was very impressive to me was the amount of fan appreciation that these guys had behind them. Fan, input is so big in this sport. And having fans that are sharing, that are liking, that are voting, it does a lot. And I honestly was not expecting that this paint scheme challenge would take off at all. It's just something fun. And then people really started going a little bit crazy for it. And we had amazing turnouts on the page, a lot of interest, and some fan bases. Aaron Turkey's fan base, Glenn Steyer's fan base, Ray Morneau's, DJ Kennington's, JP Bergeron's, obviously Matt Shirley and Brandon McFarland's were some of the biggest turnouts for votes. And that's what we're trying to do. Keep off-season stuff going, because it's more attractive to partners coming into the series. As you see, Chester's going to join me, it looks like, on camera. And it was thanks Al. It's definitely a work in progress. I think there's ways to go, and we're going to announce the winner of that tomorrow on the page. So we're definitely excited about that, and it'll be very cool to see who ended up getting the win. But really big thanks to everybody that was a part of that. All the amazing photographers who lent their photos, essentially. I mean, I kind of just borrowed them, but great work for guys Danny McKenzie, Serge Groslo, Jeremy Tessier, Clem's Pictures, Stephen Ellis, Tim Gerald. I'm going to forget some names. Matthew Manor, the NASCAR Pinty Series photographer who always has some amazing shots. Definitely borrowed many of Matthews throughout the year. Of course, Al Harris, who's in the chat. Got to thank him as well for his shots. And Eric Susi, who had some amazing shots from GP3R. Really good stuff. And then, of course, I don't have a Western photographer yet, but we've got an Atlantic Canada photographer, Matt Myler, who took some fantastic shots out there. And so definitely want to thank all of them for all their great photos for this past year. It definitely meant a lot because there was a lot of photos to choose from. So makes it easier when we're able to do a photo and a paint scheme challenge when there's actually great photos. So we're going to continue on here. Like I said, Kyle Steckley was at the Snowflake 100. He wasn't the only one. Glenn Stiers and Alex Gannett had some opportunities to race in this event. White Motorsports took Glenn and the Zero team down there. We've got some photos here of the Zero being loaded in. Absolutely gorgeous late model. I mean, it's the same scheme as the Pinty Series car, and it really, the wheels really do add to this ride. I mean, it makes it look even better, and I'm really impressed with how well that looked. Rhett Jones Racing hired Alex Gannett to race. Jeff Gottler out there. Jason Hathaway were out there. Obviously, Dave White out there as well. Scott Steckley was out there. Guys from McCall's. And they had the opportunity to be at the Snowflake. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for Glenn Stiers. He wasn't able to make the race, but was able to race in the LCQ, finish 9th after a lot of mechanical problems, including a fire that really would have put a damper on things, no pun intended, for Glenn Stiers. But still got out there and got the opportunity to be a part of it. And Glenn's definitely putting his foot into asphalt racing like nobody else right now. But before we get to my interview with Kyle Steckley, we're going to go straight into the D-Box iRacing, the International iRacing Series, which pitted our boys Trayton Lapsovich and JP Bergeron against a full field of drivers at Daytona. It did put them against a current Xfinity Series driver in Ryan Vargas, who was participating in the event. So we just had the two of them, but Trayton Lapsovich was a little bit busy because he wasn't racing at home. In fact, went out to Germany to participate. We'll take a quick look here. I don't believe the sound's on. I don't want to have the sound, but Trayton Lapsovich was on his way to Nuremberg, Germany for the Sim Racing Expo, and here he is battling side by side with, that's right, Xfinity Series driver Ryan Vargas in a battle to make it another win in the iRacing Challenge, but didn't really get the win. As you see here, it kind of falls back, and Vargas and Gomes get in front. And they got to get into a tandem draft, and there wasn't much you could do. He gets a good run here, but unfortunately, all of his help, well, they kind of do that. And Ryan Vargas picks up the win, and there you see him in the corner. They're really excited about a good friend of ours, Ryan Vargas, and he got the win. But Trayton Lapsovich out in Germany for the Sim Racing Expo and the beautiful setup from D-Box, and he gets the points lead following that race. So not too shabby for Trayton Lapsovich to get that race in third place. What was the coolest thing about that was getting to see he and JP Bergeron in a tandem draft. Two Pinty Series drivers tandem drafting at Daytona. Maybe in the future we get to see that. Obviously, you've got to see names like J.R. Fitzpatrick, Pete Shepard, Cole Powell, Alex Gannett, Dexter Stacy, all sorts of names that have been able to be out there at Daytona, but it'd be cool to see some of these current Pinty Series names be able to run out there too. That would be really cool. But I've let you listen to my gab long enough, so we'll go to my other gab, which was with Kyle Steckley. We did this interview just before the show tonight. And just before we get to it, throw out a thumbs up on the chats. Thumbs up always helps us on the channel, helps us continue to grow and put out great content for you each and every week. Helps GeForce TV get seen more on YouTube and its algorithm. So the more you thumbs up, the more you share, and the more you subscribe, it really helps us. While you're at that, why not join the Stickers and Scuffs group as well? Join and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up as well. We really appreciate it. And let's watch and hear from Kyle Steckley. It was a good weekend, starting from the 11th position for Kyle, and he is now joining me live from the shop, it would appear.
Yep, I'm in the office right now.
In the office. Never really left, though, did you, Kyle, the entire weekend? You were kind of all over the place, and surprised that you've got the energy right now to be on the camera, man, because it must have been a long weekend.
Yeah, it's been a late last couple nights. Saturday night, I think we got into bed around 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and then got home from Buffalo Airport last night at 3:30 or 4 in the morning. So I went to school for half the day today, but I'm pretty tired, ready to go to bed tonight.
It was a competition, man, between you and Trayton as to who was going to get the least amount of sleep this weekend. He was out in Germany, you're out in Florida. 22 Racing Boys kind of all over the map, but you got to go out, man, and you really surprised a lot of us because the entry list came out. All of a sudden it said Kyle Steckley was going to be on the Snowflake 100. First off, when did you find out you were going?
Yeah, we went there last year to watch, and what an amazing place that is. The whole environment's like none other, and I've wanted to go ever since. We've watched it the past couple of years and tried to put something together near the end of the season with sponsors, and obviously APC was on board, AW Millwrights was on board, a couple other groups came on board and made it happen. And it wasn't a last minute deal for sure, but we put a lot of work into it and made it happen, and it was an experience, that's for sure.
Well, listen, the field is stacked. That's the one thing that was easy to say. You weren't alone. You had some other friends down there with you. You had, Glenn Stiers made it down there. Alex Gannett was down there. Maybe some future rivals you're going to have out on the racetrack in the NASCAR Pinty Series. But how was the weekend? How did it go for you? It seemed to be kind of all over the place.
Yeah, the weekend it was kind of frustrating as a driver and as a crew. We worked on it nonstop and we never really got a handle on the car the way I would have liked it to drive. The track is completely different than anything we've been on before. The amount of banking, the speed, how far you drive it in the corners. You don't really use any brakes. So it was just completely different than anything here, and we couldn't get a handle on the car the way I liked. And we struggled with a push in the center of the corner pretty much the whole time and worked on it, but didn't quite have the speed. And we went out for qualifying, and it was good in qualifying, that's for sure. We put down a lap, and we were sitting second for quite a while. I thought we were going to stay in the top 10 there, and got knocked to 11th, which wasn't complaining about at all. And then really at the start of the race, it was pretty good. We got a lot better for qualifying, but it just still fell off. Got really tight in the middle, which killed our drive off in the end because we were using the gas to turn the car, which is no good at that track. It's really rough, and it hurts the right rear a lot. So it was a struggle. We ended up getting spun. We fell back a bit, got spun, and then came in, tried to make some changes, and it just was a struggle the last 35, 40 laps, and ended up P22, which isn't what we were looking for, but we definitely learned a ton, had an amazing experience, and hopefully we can go back down and do it again sometime.
Well, you made it fun for us. Getting that start, being up that high was great. And, I think it's one thing for sure is that we started out, we were going to have a huge Canadian contingent. We didn't get everybody down there. So hopefully we'll be able to get a couple more guys out there to join you. But is there a comparison, Kyle, from Five Flags to any of the Canadian tracks up here?
Well, I was talking about this earlier with a guy, and I kind of said it's as different as Delaware and Jacassa are. It's kind of like Delaware and Jacassa mix because it's kind of shaped like Jacassa a little bit, but it's rough like Delaware's old surface, and it's hard on tires, and you kind of drive 3 and 4 in Delaware the same as 3 and 4 in Pensacola, but really it's not similar to any track here. If you squish 3 tracks together, then you could maybe say it's kind of close, but really it's like nothing here.
Well, like we said, the field was stacked. There's a lot of big names that were in that event. Was there somebody there that you were kind of, oh my God, I'm racing on the same track as this guy?
Yeah, well, there's a couple really. Like you look at the names in the event, and it's crazy. Derek Thorne, what he's done at the Snowball Derby the past 3 years is absolutely insane. So to be on track with him was pretty cool, and just all the big names like Stephen Nasse, Bubba Pollard, like there was some big names in that race, and we qualified ahead of them, quite a few of them in qualifying. So that was pretty cool, and just what an experience. It's like everyone in that field is the best of the best. So to be in that field and to run up there, we were inside the top 10 a lot at the start of the race. So to be in the race, running up front at the start was a lot of fun.
Well, he made a lot of us were tuning in just to watch you in that race, and you and Alex Gannett battling back and forth. A little bit of a distance between you two just at the end. I mean, he started way, way back, so you got that on him, and we're looking forward to seeing you all next season as well. Hopefully, we'll get some announcements as to what your plans are, but obviously, you've got to thank some amazing people that got you down because you had some extra supporters that were on that race car to get you down to Five Flags.
Yeah, we had a lot of support to get us down there, and really appreciative of that. So I got to thank, obviously, APC Auto Parts. They're huge. They continue to support my racing career and whatever I want to do. They're on board. So a huge thank goes out to APC, Canusa, Luke, and Ivor from APC. So got to thank them first and foremost. AW Millwrights is a huge supporter. They've been with my dad long before I was here. So I got to thank them. They're continuing to support 22 Racing and me. So them as well as Caldecott Millwrights came on board. They came together. They do some work together. A lot of people said those are competitors, but they're both good people. Corey and Warren, they've done a lot of work together. So thanks to both of them for supporting me down there. Obviously, Quick Wick continues to support me. They're great supporters of the sport, and hopefully we can keep working with them in the future. We got MBS Motorsports and Sierra Excavating, the 31 guys from the Pinty series. So it's a great group of guys. It was a blast having them on the car. They're out there at the Pinty's test when I tested at CTMP, and just an awesome friendship between us and that team. So really happy to have them on the car. We had Donald Teague on the car. That was pretty cool. Have a good friendship with Donald Teague since he was driving for us a couple years ago. He's always been really supportive of my racing career, and can't thank him enough for coming on board for this event. Herb Transport helped us get down there with a truck. They've been a huge supporter of my dad over the years. They continue to support us, so huge thanks to them for getting us across the border with one of their trucks, and we took the big hauler down. And McCall Racing Enterprise, a couple of their guys came down to help us, and they helped us out a ton to get there and try and get the car handling the best we could. And I also got to thank Alex Nagy and Jacassa Motor Speedway. We went out there and were able to test before we went down to get somewhat of a similar feeling before we headed down to Five Flags Speedway. So, and everybody who supported me, all the crew, my dad, everyone at 22 Racing for supporting me. I got so many texts, posts on social media supporting me, good lucks, good runs, everything. So all the support was hugely appreciated and really showed the Canadian racing community coming together.
Yeah, we've done so much to try and build this community up, so much so that you don't even have a voice left as we continue with the interview. But Kyle, you took the time in what is a busy, I am sure, a very busy off season for you guys, and we obviously want to see more and more of this for you and the APC team moving forward. But thank you so much for taking time to be on the page and chat with me tonight, and we'll continue to chat in the off season.
Absolutely. Thank you for everything you do, and I'm excited to get back to the track in 2023.
Man, this off season, dude. I don't know how we can do it, but it's killing us softly. But
Yep,
hopefully next year, hey, let's triple the Canadian count in the
absolutely,
Snowflake 100, eh? Sound maybe like
absolutely.
the
Yep.
622 racing cars next year. I mean,
I don't know
I
about
don't know.
22 racing cars, 6 Canadian cars.
Okay. I was gonna say I don't know what's Dad gonna think about when we say
Yeah,
six
I don't
cars.
think he'd
Probably
agree with
not, eh?
that.
Kyle Steckley, thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you.
It's hard to believe that he's only 17 years old. Great maturity, great responses from Kyle Steckley. I want to thank him for taking the time out of his busy day to come on and chat with me, talk about his experience at the Snowflake 100. And this is the thing is we at first count we were going to have a good amount of contenders from the NASCAR Pinty Series in the Snowball and the Snowflake. We had Trayton Lapsovich was looking at going. Brandon Watson was looking at going. Raphael Lessard. There was rumors Alex LeBay was going to be there. Then we got Alex Gannett, Glenn Stiers. So future is definitely bright for that event and for contenders coming into the to compete. And one of the things that we can definitely look at for the future is that we have a very strong base here for late model racing in Ontario. It is one of the strongest. That series has continuously given us newer and new and really exciting young stars coming up through that series, because one of the things that is not easy to do is transfer that success from Ontario tracks to the big tracks. We've seen Brandon Watson and we saw Trayton Lapsovich. Trayton had a bit of a tough race last year. I know Brandon did as well. But they were both they fought mechanical problems, and it was heard Kyle talk about that in that interview. That again, they had Glenn Stiers had it, so we really haven't had guys that have been able to get out there and just have a nice, clean run with no mechanical issues. But yeah, Ryan, I mean, I'd love to see it. I mean, love to see events like this. I mean, this is where it helps give the name. I mean, you look at Cole Butcher. I mean, I'm shocked we haven't gotten Cole Butcher in a Pinty's car, and we need to get a guy like him, because that's a world class name right now. He was in contention to potentially finish. Well, he wasn't going to win. Well, he was going to finish second in the Snowball Derby. Sammy Smith decided that wasn't going to happen, but definitely Cole Butcher is one of those names that you've got to look and go, get him here for the finale next year for the APC series. 200 laps, absolutely. That's a name I want to get. And that's why I also think if you make this a really big event, all of a sudden now you've got a 200 lapper APC series finale race at Delaware Speedway. That looks really attractive, I think, to international competitors, people that are going to come from the United States to be in the Delaware APC series finale. I don't know about like rule wise whether that's easy or not, but I would love to see that. All of a sudden you get a Bubba Pollard to come up and race in the Delaware APC series finale against the guys that, and this is the difference too, is I want to see it, our guys like come up and race the APC series, not a couple of Canadian guys. Like no. Race the best of the best. And that's what they would do. That would be a great way to continue to grow the Pinty's Fall Brawl. Make it, well, if we can't get Jukasa to come back and have the Canadian Short Track Nationals again, this is a good filler right now. I mean, that's a great way of getting people to be at the track. And again, if I'm a fan and I'm spending my hard-earned cash, and that's what it is nowadays, let's be honest. It is hard-earned cash, and you know what? It goes away really, really quickly for really much for anything, really. I think one of the things that we would love to be able to do is go, oh, you know what? I'm going to buy a weekend ticket, and I'm going to be able to see a 200-lap late model race, a 250 lap Pinty Series race, Superstock finale, Oscar Hot Rod finale, Oscar Modified finale. I'm hoping at one point we'll get the Ontario Sportsman Series finale. Then you add in some. Well, I don't think we don't see the midgets race at Delaware. I think it's too big of a track. But then you add in their weekly classes. Hell, you could have racing from Thursday all the way till Sunday night. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of. I liked the King of the Hill. I found it was very entertaining, but I don't think that's something that I personally would want to have for the finale weekend. I think you want to make it all about Canada. Make it, Canada's great motorsports. I mean, King of the Hill is great, but motorsports leagues, I think finishing all at one time would be really, really cool. Or at least being part of the weekend, if not their finale. YTW was back in the chat. Nice to see you, buddy. Get Dale Jr. to come down and race against the NASCAR Pinty Series drivers in the fall brawl. I agree. The only issue would be timing. Is more than likely there's going to be a race on the Sunday that he would be in commentary for. So he wouldn't more than likely miss out on that NBC deal to come race the Pinty Series. Where I do see something like that happening is if there was a race earlier in the season, maybe at an Eastbound Park, like going out to Atlantic Canada, maybe that's the opportunity. Jason Hathaway has already thrown it out there to Dale Jr. that, hey, I've got a car that has sponsorship on it. You want to be a part of the show? We will put you in the car. Whether Dale Jr. wants to, I don't know. I could see Dale Jr. doing something like an APC series race because he does love the short tracks. He loves late model racing too. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's something that would pique his interest. Do I ever think he's actually going to do it? I don't know. I don't know. I think guys like Kenny Wallace, Ken Schrader, we always get those guys. Where I think would be big for this series is what they almost had happen last year with Christopher Bell and Stuart Friesen. I think Christopher Bell coming into the series would be very big. I think you could try and get somebody else with him. I've been trying to throw the name Haley Deegan out there. I know maybe people don't agree with that, but the one thing for Haley that I would think would be a perfect fit would be Oshwekin. There's two opportunities now that you can make for mainstream talent to be brought up from the U.S. To race against the Canadian contingent, and I would say that Oshwekin and Delaware. Those are your two. Eastbound Park a slight third. Obviously, GP3R is up there as well. I just don't know how many mainstream like NASCAR stars would come up here for that. Really, they probably wouldn't have as much interest. However, if, say, GP3R is something that the Xfinity Series is potentially going to look at, yes, we would probably get some more names coming in and running the Pinty Series. I mean, we don't even know what's going to happen next year right now. I mean, we have a lot of questions over the roster for next year. We don't know what Rafael Lessard's schedule is going to look like, and we have no idea about Alex LeBay. They weren't able to get a full season of funding for him, so he wasn't able to make a full season in the Xfinity Series. Now, if that's the case again in 2023, very possible. Gary Calling in the chat. Nice to see you, Gary. It's not a chat without Gary Calling here. But definitely, I think that there's some room for names of that sort to come up and race. Like I said, I don't. It's like a tough call. Do I think that Dale Jr. would do it if the right offer was there? Absolutely. But it's the same thing with like if we were going to Indy, to Toronto and bringing in Paul Tracy or bringing in James Hinchcliffe. I think it's all about the offer that's presented. And I think EHR has a fully funded car. I think that if Chevrolet was involved, and a Chevrolet specific driver, GM Paillet, could definitely do it. Whether or not they do, it's kind of hard to tell. But I definitely think that there's a good amount of options out there. I think we've said before, the dirt racing world, there's a lot more opportunities to get some guys. And the reason I said Haley Deegan before is that Oshweekend kind of ties into the week at New Watkins Glen. So they're already kind of close to the border as it is. I think you're looking at Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Haley Deegan. That's her big three. That would be in terms of bringing people to the racetrack. Don't know about Bell as such, but definitely Kyle Larson would bring a ton of people to the racetrack. I believe it was going to happen last year, just timing it didn't really work out. Somebody like Tony Stewart would definitely bring more people. I mean, Stewart's done this before. He did it back in 2002. The year he won the championship, he came up and raced at Cayuga Speedway in Cascar for the Canada Day Shootout. And I'd love to see something like that again where, yeah, we had 2 drivers last year. We're going to have 3 with Schrader, with Friesen, and with Bell. I'd love if we could have something like that where we had 4 or 5 names from the Cup Series, Xfinity Series, Truck Series. Bring them up. And I'm not talking, not like, no offense to the Lawless Allens and the Dean Thompsons of the world, but I'd like to see some like championship contender names. It'd be really cool to see that. I think there's Grant Infinger would be somebody I could definitely see. He's got a good relationship with Racetime Radio boys, so they could easily put a word in for somebody like him to come up and he would do a late model. He would do a dirt race, no problem. Chase Briscoe. Like, Briscoe is the guy for me that I would want to see. And we already have the connection with the Ford Mustang with Dave Jacobs Racing. So, I mean, geez, Chase Briscoe would be a hot shoe for me to try and get into the dirt race at Oshweekend. So, but I definitely think there's options there for the APC series to get some all-stars into the finale. Definitely for the Pinty series that weekend as well. I think having combination events works really well in getting those names to do both events. We saw it, DJ Kennington, Trayton Lapsovich, Brandon Watson, Glenn Stiers, and then Ray Morneau Jr. Getting the opportunity. We've seen Shea Gemmel do it before, and Kyle Steckley did it as well. So it definitely helps having that those combination events. So if we start the season off, with a combination event at, say, Sunset Speedway, I have no idea if that's actually going to happen. It would love it. But then you also end the season with a combination event. That is a great idea. You know, come together at the start of the season, come together at the end of the season. In the middle, you go your separate ways and have your season. I'd love it. I'd love to see that. And then you add in, like I said, the smaller series, Ontario Sportsman for combination events throughout the year. You add in OSCAR, you add in Super Stocks. There's options there, for sure. Schedule potentially coming out this week, though, and that's the interesting side of things, is that schedule could come out. I, for one, because Gary Calling is in the chat, I will still stand on my podium and say that I would love to see Flamborough come back. I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately, but I think that there's some rumblings potentially about returning tracks, maybe some new tracks. If Granby's still, I believe that's happening because they posted, I believe, something about it. At least one of the authors in Quebec had mentioned that Granby was going to happen this year for the NASCAR Penny Series. So would be pretty big to have 2 dirt races in 1 year, for sure. And if that happens, Jordan Poirier is definitely got to be in Penty's car. You definitely got to have him. Dave Bailey, once again, would definitely be big. So, I think that there's a lot of potentials. We've got all the talk about it, but at the end of the day, is it more star power that we want or more cars and drivers from our local series, our Ontario series, our Alberta series, our Atlantic series? I think that's what we need. Will Glenn Stiers have an opportunity to grow that team? Will White Motorsports grow continuously as they do. RGC Sports, 22 Racing. I mean, 22 Racing put Ray Morneau Jr. on the track for the finale. Do they go and have an opportunity to have 4 cars at the racetrack? Do they go 3 cars? It's been done, obviously. They've been done it before. DJ Kennington, will they have more cars out on the racetrack for next year? Obviously, it's all up in the air. I mean, we really don't have a ton of news coming out. I don't expect that there's going to be a lot of late-breaking team news at the end of the season. I think a lot of people are waiting for that schedule to come out. I know that they were hoping towards the end of November. Obviously, discussions, depending on what they are, they can definitely impact for sure what people are going to run what races, and that's people need to know. They need to find out their budgets well in advance, and I can understand a lot of partnerships, a lot of partners are already doing their budget for 2023, and you get that schedule out too late. I mean, ultimately, the schedules, I mean, it sounds a little crazy, but for NASCAR's Premier Series, I do think that their schedule should be put together by the end of the regular season. I mean, I don't think the off season is when you can wait. I know it's a kind of crazy thing to think, but put those partnerships together, get next year's schedule done during the season. And then they have, instead of January, February, March, April, before the season starts, then you could potentially have September, October, November, December. Gives you a lot more time to put the partnerships together. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is a lot of partnerships. It's a lot of money. And a lot of places cut their marketing budgets. I mean, we look at a lot of these major corporations to try and get them involved in racing. And I mean, JRD Motorsports, take a look at Ryan Dyson. I mean, Ryan's one of the guys that is heart and soul put into getting people onto his race car. And it is not an easy thing. I mean, they're going out there, they're doing weekly videos, constant social media posts, constant social media thanks and social media presence. And that's how you give the return. I mean, return of investment is so big for companies. So having year-long NASCAR Pinty Series content is important, and showcasing those partnerships that are on these race cars that are sponsoring the broadcast, names like Quick Wick, names like Pinty's, it goes a long, long way. And it's what every team, in my opinion, should be doing. We don't work on handshakes, unfortunately. Major corporations, major companies that are spending good amount of money for sponsorship and partnerships, they want their money to be worth something and to make some money off of it. Now, is there an endless amount of sponsorships in Canada? Absolutely. There's tons of companies, tons of brands. Whether or not we can ever get that money to come in it's a hard sell. But I think we're on the right track here. I think last year, getting 28 cars for the finale, 27 cars, 26 cars even for the finale was a really positive step. We had hit positive car counts, the most that we had seen in at least 5 to 6 years. And that's coming out of a pandemic. Now, I said before, we've done this show for 27 episodes. And I felt last couple years, we weren't going to feel the effects from the pandemic until a couple years down the line. Sounds like next year we could be seeing that. The way that things are right now, the rise of inflation heading into 2023 is probably going to be pretty high again. Hopefully there'll be some breaks, but if we got the right guy in charge, you got Tony Spiteri, who knows costs. He knows how much these teams are spending, knows how much that we want to save, and teams need to save if they want to continue. Ultimately, the cost of racing across not just Canada, but the world is too high. So we've seen major drop-offs in NASCAR South. We've seen it really everywhere. And to have a series like the Pinty Series have a year like we did last year, it bodes well. But we've definitely got to hope that next year we continue on this strong path. I think they've got the right people in charge. There's still announcements, obviously, that we have to be made. We really don't know who the series director is. Hasn't been announced yet. Who's going to take over as the series director, and we're not 100% sure everybody that's going to be a part of the team. But once the schedule is out, I think things will start to trickle in the new year for sure. When the schedule does come out, obviously we'll be here talking all about it. And on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast as well, we're talking about it. There's definitely lots more that we'll have to talk about. But again, if you guys can do me all a favor and just give us a thumbs up, that helps the show, helps the channel, definitely helps all of us at G-Force TV continue to be part of YouTube's algorithm and gets noticed by more people, and continue to bring content to you each and every week. I'm trying to do more and more with the G-Force TV crew. I want to thank Spencer as always. Thanks Adam and Clinton for giving the opportunity. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We had a really tough start with some trouble, but I want to thank Kyle Steckley for coming on board and doing a quick little interview with us to talk about his experience at the Snowflake 100. And I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. We definitely got to talk about a lot of stuff, and it was really nice seeing the spread of the NASCAR Pinty Series internationally this week with Drayton, with Glenn Stiers, Marc-Antoine Cameron, Alex Gannett, Jeff Gottler, and Jason Hathaway, Dave White, Sherry Putnam, the team from GM Paillet. It was really, really awesome to see that, and I want to thank each and every one of you. Obviously, Ryan Dyson out in there, YTW, Riegser. Riegser celebrated a birthday, so definitely want to thank him and wish him a happy birthday. And Gary Calling, as always, good buddy, and can't, of course, forget about Al, dear old dad. Definitely appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for having a chat with me tonight, and we'll speak to you all. I think we're going to probably have 2 more episodes before we wrap it up for the holiday season, and keep it tuned to G-Force